This video is going to go over an overview of Morse code software for your computer with a little bit of an emphasis on how to hook up your paddles, keys, and bugs to ehoCW. We'll start with there, and then I'm going to give you an overview of some of the software I have going for CW on my computer here, a Windows 7 64-bit. I'm using a USB to serial port adapter so that I can key this software CW application called ehoCW. One advantage of this is it has 4 pins that you can use. As you see over here, I have the DSR and CTS, and that makes the paddle and the iambic paddles. So we have DITs, DAs, and you can hook up your bug, and you can also hook up a straight key to the So in the DCD and the ring indicator, those are both single hookups, and all you need is to attach the DCD pin to the key, and then on the other side of the key you hook it up to the DTR pin, and when those close you activate this. There's the straight key, and here's the bug DCD. So ehoCW lets you have all of your Morse code instruments, and including this paddle here. This is a really good paddle. It has raised cosines, which you can adjust here in the rise time, and I have mine set to 5 millisecond rise and fall time. And the pitch is variable, so you can take the pitch up or down here. So you grab that slider, put it wherever you want to. And we also have volume control. Set it however you want. You can swap the paddles, which is how I have it working. I'm using iambic B. Now for the settings, we're going to use an ASIO driver, and the secret of all this stuff is going to be VoiceMeeter's audio mixer. All this will be in the show notes, and I'll show you some download links here in a second. Now this mixer allows 3 inputs to go to 2 hardware outputs and 1 virtual output. This has its own ASIO driver, and it comes with its own virtual audio cable called the VoiceMeeter VAIO. So when eho is playing, we have it going to the VoiceMeeter's own ASIO card. Whenever you're trying to use software CW keyers, using an ASIO driver produces much better timing on the CW as well as better audio. So in this option, I'm just selecting the ASIO driver for the VoiceMeeter Virtual ASIO, and that's the name of that driver. I have everything on my computer set to 48K. Channels 1 and 2. Here I have the COM port for my USB to serial port adapter. And then you click apply, close, and reboot the program, and all that should stick. So what this does is it comes in, it sends its audio right to this 3rd channel, this virtual input, on this A position, these first 2 columns of the stereo. There are 4 positions, and you'll see later that the 2nd position is important, and I'll tell you why in just a minute. Okay, so we're coming in. It's also going out, the virtual ASIO, so you can send this to somebody else, and I'll go over that in just a second. So not only can you have all this software on your computer playing, but you can also connect and QSO with somebody else on the internet. And I'll show you 3 programs a little bit later here. Again, this is just an overview, and we'll go into details in some further videos. But right now I want you to get hooked up so you can get eho working. So once you get this program downloaded, you have a serial port, or you go and purchase a USB to serial port adapter, and then you have to hook it up. So over here we have the ehoCW download, and I'm using DA's QSONet's PDF, which has a very good picture. And these are the 3 pins of interest. The DTR is the common. You can hook DA or DITs however you want. But once you get this and you hook your paddles directly to that, or you can hook it through a capacitor and resistor or whatever you want. but it works pretty good just directly. I think I use a 1K resistors on mine just to limit the current just in case, but I don't think you have to. Then the pin out over here for the other two pins that we use for the DCD to the DTR, and also for the ring indicator. So this little diagram here. So you bring all those pins out, then you can hook your straight key, your bug, and your iambic paddle all at the same time, and they'll all play with the settings on ehoCW. Now this is the secret weapon here, this VoiceMeeter. So you need to download that. And he has another application. You need to download this. This also works with VoiceMeeter, and we're going to use, on this ASIO device, we're going to choose the VoiceMeeter Virtual ASIO. And what this does is it gives you another set of virtual audio cables with the unique ability to send that audio to another position on the input. And that may sound confusing, but it'll clear up here as soon as I show you what's going on. But if you want to talk to anybody else through the internet, you're going to need to download this and use its cables. So the ASIO part fits into here, and the virtual audio cables are called the hi-fi cables. So let me show you those. And that's what you're going to use for any VoIP like Skype, Mumble. I want to show you Mumble, I'm going to show you WebRTC, and I'm going to show you Jamulus, which is an application that's an ASIO application that lets you talk to anybody over the internet. So here's what the cable is called when you download this. This hooks directly to the ASIO, and it bridges between the ASIO driver and the Windows driver. Here's the other sound card that came with the VoiceMeeter. So make sure all those are set to the same sample rate. So I have everything on mine at 16-bit and 48K. Same thing in the recording. 48K, 16-bit, and same thing here. 48K, 16-bit. Now, for the recording, I'm going to use this as the default. And for the playback, this is important. If you're going to use WebRTC and talk to QSO with somebody CW style over the internet using just your browser. It has to be a Chrome browser for the one I'm going to show you. But this is important. So let me briefly continue with ehoCW, and let's finish up the setup. So in here you've got an equalizer. I like to turn the bass down for CW and the high and keep the mids the way they are. So pedals are working, bug's working, and straight key's working. All that's working. So I'm hearing it because on A1 hardware you have a lot of selections, and I'm using the speakers of my native laptop sound card just so I can hear it, and I'm using headphones right now. Now if I wanted to use a second sound card, which I have, for speakers, I could do this. And now it's coming out the speakers as well as my headphones. So I can leave them both hooked up, and I don't have to fiddle around. If I wanted to use headphones, I can. And sometimes that's nice if you don't feel like wearing headphones. I'll take that off for now. Just remove device, and then we're back to the normal. Okay, so that's working just fine. So not too hard to set up. ehoCW. Again, select the sound card. Use the ASIO VoiceMeeter's virtual ASIO zone driver. Follow the download instructions. It's very straightforward. It's easy to download and install. Once it's all installed, and you get the serial port selection, and I'm using a virtual serial port splitter and a virtual serial port pair. So there's the splitter. So I've got my one serial port going to 5, 7, and 9 in parallel, so I can use all three of these at the same time. And I also have a serial port pair so that I can send out COM1 and receive on COM2, and I'll show you why that's kind of fun. So we got DA, we got this the dits and DAs going on ehoCW. If you look over here, the dits again, DSR, CTS, DCD pin, ring indicator. So that's all working just fine. We're getting sound, and we're also able to send that sound out using the ASIO bridge hi-fi cables. And if you wanted to talk to somebody else, so you see that's going out. If you wanted to talk to somebody else, we have three different choices I'll show you here in just a little bit. And the first one is mumble. Now I already have the mumble channel. Again, this is just an overview. I'll go over these details in another video. But because we are choosing the hi-fi cables, the output and the input, both keep them the same, we'll listen to what's coming out of there. And it's coming in this B channel here. And the reason that's important is you don't want their audio coming into your station and then going right back out that hi-fi cable. So how we stop that is very simple. We're going to use, as soon as I can find it here, there it is. This is the routing. So as the audio comes into the ASIO bridge from elsewhere, like mumble, it uses channels 1 and 2, but we want it in the B position. So if you'll notice, I'm going to take this off of here, and if you left click, it raises the numbers. So, and I have some other things coming in as well. Let me silence that for a second. So we want, this would have been 4, that's 3. Okay, so now you don't hear anything. Now if I do this to 2, now you see that I'm also sending. So their signal is coming back into my station and going back out, so you don't want that. So that's the unique thing about this ASIO bridge. So you right click and right click until it's a dash, and then move 1 and 2 over to the B position here. And now that won't go back out. Perfect. Okay, and that applies to any other application that uses VoIP like Mumble, TeamSpeak, and I'm going to show you Jamulus here. Same thing. So for Jamulus we're using another system. Again, this is just an overview. I have some other videos about Jack Router. So here's Jamulus, and you see I've got it coming into the B position, which is channels 3 and 4 on the VoiceMeeter. Right there. So that means it won't go back out channels 1 and 2, which is the sending channels. Okay, so that's a second option if you wanted to CW over the internet. There's the settings. I'm using again an ASIO driver. I could have chosen the VoiceMeeter too. VoiceMeeter allows up to 4 ASIO inputs of different applications. And I've already got that maxed out. That's why I went to the Jack Router system, which is my 4th. And then in Jack Router you can put a lot of programs in there, as long as you can find Jack Router in the application menu, which is, as you see right here. Jack Router is just directly hooked up to the VoiceMeeter input too. So it just gives you more options. And again, just follow with me here. I know it's probably confusing if you haven't seen this before, but I wanted to get everything just to show you all the stuff that's available. And then if you're interested, then look for one of the videos that just covers that one that you're interested in. So this is the second. And here's my signal going out. So let's take a jack router. I'll show you how that works for this one. So here's Jamulus. So I'm sending, this is, again, this is, don't worry about this right now, this is just the way it works for jack router. So I'm taking the output of VoiceMeeter, and that would be channel 7 and 8. And that's going to go in Jamulus. So you see these VU meters. Now that little extra tone on the end is just the feedback. So if you don't want to listen to your own signal, you just shut that down. And now the VU meters are working. So that's the input. And it's fully duplex. All these are fully duplex, so you all can talk at the same time. So that's that one. So we have Mumble, Jamulus, and now if you just don't want to download anything, just want to go right to your browser, check out Source Connect. Everything's the same setup. I'm using the hi-fi cable. Now one thing important for this, if you're going to use a browser, you got to make sure your playback device is the hi-fi cable too, because you have to have that go into position B. So again, your signal from the other guy doesn't go right back to him and repeat in an endless echo. And as you see here, I'm sending, and it's receiving it just fine. So Source Connect is free, and you can have up to 5 people at once, and all it is browser to browser. You have them come in as a guest, you sign up, and you just send out a guest invitation, and 4 other people can join you. This has great audio too. It's 256K, which is just awesome. Now you have to have a pretty good internet connection, so you're going to need 1 or 2 megs on your upload speed to do this, to hook up more than 1 or 2 people. To get all 5 people, you're going to need probably, whatever 5 times that is. So maybe about 2 or 3 megs on the upload. Anyway, you can try it out and test it. It's free for up to 5 people. You can get an account. So those are the 3 ways to talk to other friends of yours for Morse code over the internet. Once you get the basic setup for VoiceMeeter and ehoCW. So it's okay to practice, but it sure is a lot of fun to talk to some other people, and it's really not that difficult. It's just a learning curve. So let me show you some of the other software I have going here. This was just the jack router. There's some other videos about that. This allows me to hook up a bunch of stuff and route it just by drawing wires. Also has MIDI input. So let me show you another way to get instruments, Morse code instruments, using VoiceMeeter into this system, this setup here. So I'm using the microphone jack of my laptop sound card, and I also have another sound card. Windows won't let you have one sound card with 2, both mic and line input. You have to choose one or the other. So if you use 2 different sound cards, I have the laptop's own sound card here, and in the USB slot I have a Behringer. Now in here I have, if you wanted to take the audio from your radio in your rig and just use your computer sound card for everything, you can do it that way. So you could use this to send audio to your rig and back. So you could actually use this for live on-the-air audio mixer too. So here's just what the radio from my rig sounds like. And I just put it on a weak station there just to demonstrate. And because this little node here is going to position B, it won't go back out into the microphone inputs of either the internet sending or my rig. So if I had this audio outputted to the mic input of my rig, the audio from the rig wouldn't feed back right back into the input anymore, because I'm choosing here, and that's easy to do, add an input node, stereo, and then you just check 3. And this was in harmony with God's merciful purpose for the government of this world when the times are right. Now this is an interesting program, and all it is a VST host. And this will be in the show notes, and I'll have some other videos about this. I just want to give you an overview that this hooks directly to the VoiceMeeter virtual ASIO. And what that allows me to do is when I have it set up in composite mode in the B position, this is the B line right here, this is where the virtual ASIO and the virtual Windows VoiceMeeter sound card goes out. So when this sends a direct composite out, and the jack router allows me right here to receive from it and send to it. In the context of resurrection of the dead, which will occur in connection as well as this. Since I'm using it, I have whatever node I check, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 7, 8 will be the input. Now for this one, I'm using 3 and 4. I'll go over this in just a second. And this input I'm using, this is input 3, 4 when it's in composite. And this is input 5, 6. And then 5, 6 is right here, and it's going to 3, 4 on the output. And then you just click on right there, and it brings up a volume control. Very nice. Now let me show you another Morse code for the input. Now if you had a side tone oscillator, you just bring it right into your microphone jack or your line input jack, and you could send CW that way. So let me show you. Here's what that sounds like. Let me turn this off here. And I'll slow that down. I have a K1EL coming into the mic jack. So you can do that directly, or I have a 555 chip just before the mic jack, and it's sending a tone into the mic jack, and I'm converting that tone to a MIDI note, which is a musical information, and that's telling this synthesizer here to send a note at 700 Hertz. And then I'm using a bandpass filter. Again, all this is free software, and it'd be another video. There's another video that talks about this. I just wanted to show you as an overview all the stuff that's going on here. So this is a gate. As soon as that audio coming in mic jack goes above this threshold, it sends out that MIDI note. It precisely, exactly, however long the elements are. So it very accurately reproduces the elements from that 555 chip. And so that's how I am able to have another input. So I have my K1EL keyboard right here. And I have it adjustable, the knobs and all that. And go up to QRQ if you want it. Anyway, so that's another option, and being able to use VST plugins is great. This is just one possible function that I really like, and I found a 555 that actually operates off the voltage of the mic jack. And again, these video links will be, I have a video about that, and it'll be in the show notes if you're interested. Now the input for the second sound card, which is right here, is here. Now if I wanted to, I could put a plug-in there too. I'll show you. And I have a bunch of free plugins, as you can see. So let's just put in the volume control, let's say. VST gain stereo. Well, let's see. Let's do something else here. Let's do a equalizer. I have actually using 64 bits. There we go. Here's one. So you just draw the line. Yellows are the audio. Now
I want to ask you something, but you have to promise not to laugh.
you can EQ your own rig. It's especially useful for CW.
Like, did you in the jingle when your agent actually
If you bypass it.
Yeah, of course it works. I saw it on the internet.
In reality, having your own State Farm agent
You
means having
can
a
use
real
it for
person
a
to help you when you need that.
notch filter. And you can adjust how thin or wide this is as far as the cue goes. And a little bit of a learning curve here. So you can set up a bunch of them. And here's the cue. So there's number 4.
No words bring more truth. Join Tom Letting as he teaches you how to succeed in your daily struggles by using
Just adjust that however. Here's a notch filter. It does a pretty good job.
every Sunday morning
Anyway,
at 7:15 on KXDN
just
1010.
delete it and you can run it through straight. I'll turn that off for now. Okay, so that's just another possible way. Now let me show you another Morse code instrument that's kind of fun, and it uses the mouse. Because I have already 4 inputs to the VoiceMeeter, I'm using the 4th one, which is Jack Router, and that's why you see Jack Router here. So there is Morse keyer here, and it's going to inputs 1 and 2, because I do want what I play to go to the either to the rig or to someone on the internet I'm in QSO with. And I'm using a wireless mouse, and I'm using it in iambic mode, and this is very low latency. And that's kind of a nice option. You can also tear up an old USB mouse and plug your paddles into that. If you wire one side of the paddle to the DIT, or the left mouse button, and the other, the DAW paddle, to the right button. This has a straight key, and it also has a bug. So it's kind of fun to play with. So that's another one. And I think I have one more here that I wanted to show you. Morse News is kind of a fun way to listen to Morse and see what's happening as far as your news goes. I've got 2 keyboards I wanted to show you too. So, and I'm using a very accurate application. This is like a straight key. Now this is using COM port 2. And again, this is just an overview. Just bear with me here if you're confused. This is how this one works. Now I'm using the pro version, and if you write to the author, he'll give you a demo, and you can try it out and see if you like it first, and the demo I think expires. But if you want it, but this is one way. He has done a lot of amazing work in coding this so that it accurately matches whatever speed you're sending it. And I'll show you that in just a second. Now I have this set to 60, and I'm going to take this to its highest limits in a second here, while we show you what the 60 sounds like. You have a weight setting that's just normal weight. You can adjust the rise time and fall time here. Set the frequency, and this is -9 dB, so it doesn't blow your ears off. And this is what this sounds like. I have it in free fly mode. It's not in its calculating mode just yet. So I'm using the F5 button, and you can use that like a straight key. You can also type on it in the other mode. So here we have the ASIO, and I'm using number 2, and that would be the Jack Router. So there's softCW. Again, it's going to 1 and 2 because I want whatever I play here to go out. So I'm going to take this off of free fly mode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by hitting F3 once, and now it's its own keyboard. And I'm going to hit F3 again, and now we're back in free fly mode. In the free fly mode, I'll start here, this Morse News. So what I'm doing here is I've set up a virtual serial port pair. I'm going to use Morse News to send out on port 1. It's connected to port 2, and softCW is listening to port 2. Sample rate's 4800. Buffer size, try to get all that. And it's using the CTS pin. That's what activates this. So it's like a null modem cable. When this sends out 1, it sends it out RTS pin, and that keys the CTS pin on the other end of the null modem, and that's kind of what this is. So when COM1 hits COM2, it activates the CTS pin. And frequency, rise time, and this is the automatic mode. And if you match this, it does an excellent job of reproducing whatever Morse News is keying at that high speed. So let's get this started. Yep. Okay, we have a conflict here with one of the other programs. Let's see if I can get rid of this now. Here's cwTYPE. And that's sending to sorry it's taking so long between these. Got so much on there it's hard to find it. Okay, so that's just going in the A position, which means what I can hear it, and it's also going out to that hi-fi cable for the input of anything you're sending, or to another sound card that would also, you could use this sound card and send it to your rig. Take that out. Okay, do that. And let's show you FLdigi. FLdigi does the same thing. Again, we're choosing, in this case, we're using VoiceMeeters, the Windows part of that virtual sound card that came with the VoiceMeeter app. So not only does this have ASIO, but it also has its own virtual audio cable. And that's what that sounds like. Okay, let me get rid of that one. Let me stop this one. Take that and we'll put the Morse News back up and see if we get it to play. There we go. And it should start here in a second. And there we go. And one of the advantages of using this going to this much effort to set up that virtual serial port is that the timing of Windows and CW sometimes doesn't mix. So this bypasses that, sends it to this application, which does a much better job of reproducing the accuracy of the original elements. So let's stop this for a second, and I'm going to take this up to its max. And even if you're not QRQ, you're not a QRQ fan, you at least can tell that this is pretty steady. So I'm going to take this, and we're going to hit F3 again, and we'll try it one more time. And it takes a while for it to there we go. And there's some other fun things to do with this kind of a setup, but it's just another way to use software. I have one other thing I wanted to show you. This is a I'm playing a CW file, and again it's just going to the first channel. Now I could, if I didn't want it to go out on the air, I would just choose in the options here of this to use channels 3 and 4. In order to do that, you have to go into Windows, and you have to set it up as a 7.1 device, which I have not done, so that those would show up if you wanted to do it that way. So in VoiceMeeter, configure, you'd have to set it up as a 7.1 before you do all this stuff. Anyway, one advantage of this, listening to a CW file, is you can slow it down. speed it up. And if you miss, one thing I like to do is if you miss a word, hit the A button. And keep going over it. And just one way to practice. You can slow it down if you still can't get it. Use the A button to go back. Slow it down some more. And then try to bring it back. Keep practicing until you bring it back up to speed. Okay. And we made that file using Fabian's ebook to CW. Then we just loaded the file in here. Found the file here, and it's that one right there. So that's another one. We also have QRQ, his word study program, set up here. And because I have the default audio is hi-fi cable and it's going to the B slot, it's not going to go out to the internet or to the rig. So you can practice your word sending master. And if you've missed a word, you can back it up. And you can hit page down till keep it. So that would, you can speed it back up. And that's the idea. Just keep practicing the word till you get it, and that's fierce. Limited. And so forth. And you can also hit F6. You can do it repetitive times for practicing to repeat the same word. If you thought you had the word once it played and you didn't really have it, you can hit F7 and it'll go back and repeat the previous word. So that's another interesting and very useful piece of software for practicing. And I think that's about all I have for all this, for just the overview. And my main emphasis was just to get you started. I want you to get ehoCW going so you can get your paddles going and your bugs, your straight keys. And then maybe experiment with one of the internets. Now you can catch us on here. This is ICW, and there's a lot of information on how to get on here. You can join us, and feel free to join us anytime. It's free for everybody. And we have a server most of the time for Jamulus, so you can have your friend go to get Jamulus, download it, and get this set up, and then look for Morse code. If not, you can set up your own server. It's not that hard. You just have to do some port forwarding on your router is all, which isn't that difficult. But this is a lot of fun, and we already have permission from the owner of this server based in Germany that I can use this Morse code here and keep it going. And most people understand already that we're not using it for music, which is kind of a music, I guess. So I guess we are using it for music, but not the kind that they're used to. And of course, one of the easiest ones to do, you don't have to download anything, but you have to become, is this WebRTC. And there's a lot of different WebRTCs, but I thought this one had exceptional audio, and it really sounded good for the Morse code audio tones. Again, all you have to do is make sure, and I'm just repeating everything just as reminders here. For playback, you got to have this set up, and you got to have ASIO bridge set up to do that B position for channels 1 and 2. Then you won't get feedback. It's fully duplex, so I'm sending out here. And I think that's just about it. There's a little guide on it. Mumble even has 64 bits now. It just came out. That's what I'm using right now. There's ebook to CW. There's QRQ. There's the softCW app, and you can let him know that you saw this video and you'd want to try out that professional version. If you're interested in Morse news at QRQ. And I believe that's just about it. This video's probably gone on long enough. Pinouts, ehoCW. So look for some other videos or leave a note and let me know what you're mostly interested in. I'll try to make that one, make sure I do a good job on getting that out as soon as possible. Thanks for watching.